Welcome to Positive Atheism English channel. Today I am going to read out you the article on the human grounds of compassion, or is positive atheism an oxymoron? This is written by Mr. Bill Cook, an atheist. It was not that long ago that putting the words atheist morality together would have generated condescending smiles, sneers, or worse. I once debated a Christian evangelist who thought it fair comment that an atheist can't find God for the same reason a thief can't find a policeman. And another was quite sure he was doing me a spiritual favor when he very lovingly assured me I was a force of darkness, lawlessness, and uncleanliness. And we would be fooling ourselves to believe these attitudes have disappeared. It has been a staple of much theology over the past century that belief in God is the only sure foundation upon which to base an ethical system. But times are changing, and the simple fact of so many non-religious people leading ethical lives is getting harder to ignore or explain away. Even so, it is still unusual to hear public discussion about atheist morality. We should remember just now how great this achievement is and how precious is the secular nature of our society, which is the backdrop for these hard-won freedoms. A component prejudice that still lingers in some corners is the notion that compassion is a uniquely religious concept. At the more popular level, one of the stock epithets most quickly resorted to when wanting to put atheists in their place is to ask about the record of atheist compassion. But for anything willing to wait for an answer, there are surprises in store. Most so-called religious charities operate with substantial assistance from government subsidies, and yet many continue to champion these as exemplars of the special godness of Christian altruism. And it should now be well known that two of the world's most generous benefactors, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, make little secret of being irreligious. The same is true of George Soros, and closer to home, Fred Hollows, whose foundation brings sight to thousands of people around the world, was a convinced atheist. Further back, one can recall Michael Joseph Savage, then a staunch rationalist, who worked tirelessly for the poor of inner city Auckland before becoming an MP and so on. But I would like to illustrate my point by telling you about someone who is unknown outside his native country and as good an example of atheist compassion in action as you are likely to come across. He is none other than Gora Goparaju Ramchandra Rao. This is the story of Gora Goparaju Ramchandra Rao. He was born of Brahmin stock in 1902 in Chhatrapur in what is now Orissa. Gora, as he later styled himself, is an acronym of his full name, but one that drops the caste information embedded in it. Conventionally religious until his middle 20s, Gora wore the sacred thread and revealed to the world his high caste and carried around a sachet of sacred ash his pious aunt had bequeathed him. But as he noted, the passage of his life had little to do with the sacred ash or the sacred thread or any of the other encumbrances of superstition. He also couldn't help but notice that the devoted piety of his sister did not prevent her from losing 3 children in a row. In fact, soon after Gora threw his sacred ash away, his fortunes took a turn for the better when he landed a good teaching job at the American Mission College in Madurai, Tamil Nadu. Gora was a natural teacher and soon attracted the attention of the principal, who offered him the chance for further study in the United States, but only on the condition that he embraced Christianity. This proved to be a turning point for Gora. He could easily have seized the opportunity, announced his prompt conversion, and been swept off to America and a new life. But he turned the offer down, knowing that for him such a conversion would not be the honest. No longer welcome at the college, he left soon afterwards. His experience there prompted a serious investigation into the phenomenon of religion. Until then, his protest had been against the hidebound restrictions and superstitions he had encountered in his Hindu upbringing. But he now came to learn that these were features of religion generally. Gora took a position at the Agricultural Research Institute in Coimbatore. Here, he was joined by his wife. The two had been married by arrangement of their parents in 1922 when Gora was 20 and Saraswati, his bride, was 10. Now 14, Saraswati was permitted to move in with her new husband. After a year at Coimbatore, Gora and his young bride moved to Ceylon, as Sri Lanka was then known, to teach at Ananda College, an institution run by the Buddhist Theosophical Society, where he taught botany. It was here that Gora and Saraswati experienced a long-standing superstition. Pregnant women, Hindus believed, should not walk around outside during an eclipse for fear of the harm done to the unborn child. Yet, they noticed Buddhist, Muslim, and Christian women going about their business during just such an event. So much to the horror of our Hindu associates, the pregnant Saraswati openly went about her business during the eclipse. And to all her associates' surprise, she gave birth to a normally healthy baby. This episode illustrates two important points about Gora's life. First, the support of Saraswati, his wife, was crucial to his progress. Recognizing this, gender equality has been a staple of Gora's and the Atheist Center's program ever since. For almost 30 years after Gora's death, Saraswati Gora continued his work. And the second point about this episode is that a large part of Gora's atheist work was devoted to exposing pernicious practices. Western atheism, by contrast, has traditionally been more concerned with exposing fallacious beliefs in the assumption that the practice will then change. And from here, I shall continue in the next episode again. Thank you.
For more videos, please subscribe to our Positive Atheism English channel presented by Samaram channels, which has crossed more than 20 crore views. Please like, subscribe and share our videos. And for notification of our new videos, please click the bell icon.